The fact that we're seeing more Katt Williams is already making 2021 a lot better, man.
Doing good, thank you.
Well, hey, listen,
come
man.
On in, Billo.
There he is.
What up, baby?
Did you know how big of a fan that Billy is of you? That he's such a big fan that he has a tattoo of you actually
you
on
with
his
that
arm.
You with that again?
No, did you know that?
Hey, first of all, I'm gonna show it to you. That she's been saying this is you for the last few months. You know,
it's supposed to be Richard Pryor, but the artist flipped its hand a little bit.
I don't know if you can.
Well, it's good comedy in either way.
So, how has the last year been for you, my man? I know a lot of times, when the world is under pressure, man, that's when comedians get a chance to dive deep into themselves and really, put together something fantastic. I can't wait to hear, what your perspective has been, all the years' last events.
Absolutely. If you were a writer or a creative, then this period was a godsend because it just gave you the opportunity to really work out what it was you want your platform to be going forward. On the other hand, if all you did was steal from the originality of others and bite off of things that other people had going on, this was a treacherous period for you because nobody was putting out any content and there was nothing for you to steal from. And so in this time where it seemed like they should have been their funniest, they really couldn't pull anything out because these are not the originators to begin with. They didn't. You have to be willing to say something stupid to say something brilliant. And for writers, this was a great period to just get your ducks in order and to, for all of us, whether you're in the business or not, your relationships either disappeared or got stronger, whichever ones that you kept. And so we look forward to getting out and reestablishing these relationships. I personally haven't been able to go out to work yet because the arenas are just opening up. But as soon as the arenas are open, we're back on their necks again, and they're familiar with the pressure, and they know that it cometh forth.
How does it feel when people borrow, or what you would call it, borrow from you or steal from you? Because we just had this conversation with Billy, and he was saying that he would see certain things that was similar to things that he has done. Do you address those people or those things, or do you just let it go and it's just charge it to the game?
Well, when it initially happened to me, it crushed me just because the comedian was already bigger and more famous than me, and he took my closing joke and made it his closing joke on Kings of Comedy. The reason it hit so bad was that I was in the theater. I paid my money to go see Kings of Comedy, and to see my joke being there and not me was about as disrespectful as it gets in our craft. And I really took it really personally with Cedric the Entertainer at that time. Now, since then, I've done enough work with 10 comedy specials. You either have to write your own jokes or you're telling a variation of my joke, whether you acknowledge it or not. And so I care less. I just, it's a little saddening. You know what I'm saying? It's different when you have artists that sing a cover song and don't acknowledge who. So Sinead O'Connor has this whole thing where she talks about the terrible experience she had with Prince. But in honesty, what happened was he wrote her the song. And then when she goes to do interviews, she's talking in the interviews about what motivated the song and what was behind the song. You didn't write the song.
Right.
Didn't say what it meant or how it came about. And then he don't cuss and she on the interviews cussing, and it was just weird. And then, but as artists, we have to understand that it either goes one or two ways. Either you are originally creating or you are borrowing bits and pieces. And the only problem is a lot of these comics, they only got famous in the pandemic. They just got hot. And a lot of them ain't gonna make it out the pandemic because there's no there. And part of legendary status is the amount of hurdles you make it over. You saying, "Oh, I didn't have to make no hurdles. I've been running track. I ain't hit a hurdle yet."
Nah, that ain't how that go at all, bro. And you know what's crazy, Katt? What you saying and about Cedric is like, did you ever get a chance to address him about that and him to clear it up with you and make that right?
I'm not that type of comedian. I'm going in your mouth where the joke is when you steal my jokes. And I have a reputation in this industry that if you steal my joke, you're going to be missing a tooth or two. I don't play that. But I do know that it does happen in our industry, and that in other industries there is recompense for if you steal a person's life work. And in ours, it's kind of the wild, wild west where people feel like they can do whatever they want to do. But, you know, you have to call it out when it happens and address it as it happens. But it's not a good thing for our business. But once we allowed people to not write their own stuff, and once we start acting like other people could write it for you, and once we start pretending that those things exist in comedy, they don't. It's a personal business. It's about you, and it's about you sharing that with your audience. So the comics that steal, they're funny for the moment, but there's no there. For those write jokes, we understand as soon as you wrote one, you immediately started working on the next one. Yeah. And so if that is how you do your operation, then nobody taken from your operation can really hurt. Yeah.
Got you. Well, Katt, to unpack a little bit more on that, I mean, in music, sometimes it is frowned upon when you find out certain artists have ghostwriters. Now, in the comedy business, I've seen situations where like certain big name artists will have people like walking around writing behind everything that they say just to see what works, and then have bought jokes.
They suck, and the people writing for them suck. That's why there's no longevity there. You knew they weren't as funny as you. How can taking their jokes propel you?
Right.
If they had great jokes, they'd be. And so there's no cheat of this business. Even if you find a cheat and a loophole, there is none. I could have been in a position to hire 5 guys to write for me, but then those 5 guys wouldn't have been able to be stars because I've taken their best material. Do you understand? So instead, I just put them on tour. Put them on tour and allow them to do their thing. Now, if you're a liar like D-Lay, you will say that Katt Williams ain't put you on tour because you too funny. That's a fallacy, boy. Everybody knows I put monsters in front of me, beasts in front of me.
Wow.
That's how you know that I am the beast.
Yeah. That's something that doesn't happen, bro.
And Bill Bellamy's sister wife should never speak upon Katt Williams with disdain or disgust in their voice simply because I wasn't offering PP along with my program. We have a comedy
program. Do you feel like that there was any comedian, like when you were in the stage of coming up and trying to get in the door, do you feel like there was any certain person or people that may have tried to hold you back? Because I know with comedians it's very cliquey and you guys kind of stick together whenever y'all rock with each other, but in the beginning I know it wasn't as easy.
No comedian put me on tour. No comedian took me around. No comedian helped. I was the helper of my incubator. Wow. So I'm saying my first special cost $22,000 and I made $25,000 that year. I paid for every special going through, from the writing to the producing to the picking what the stage is going to look like, to getting the wardrobe, to hiring the comedians, to getting the 18-wheelers, to taking the stuff from arena to arena. This was all part of one project. So me having the most specials of anybody breathing or dead is not accidental. Nobody believed in me but me, and that was enough. Why? Because the fan base believed in me. And when I say I have the most female comedians, they think it's all bragging, but I don't have to brag. I literally have never let go of the bag. Like, the bag is sufficient. all of my tickets are sold through Ticketmaster. So if you know anything about Ticketmaster, they actually do show you whose credit card, whose name on the card bought the tickets. So I have a 86% female audience base. It makes you unbeatable. On this planet.
Yeah, we love you. The ladies love you, Katt.
Yeah.
They're all I love.
And here's the thing, like, you know, here we are once again finding yourself in a space that you do extremely well in, acting, right? So with the House Next Door, Meet the Blacks 2, you know, you're playing a really like interesting character, and it's crazy. Like, you thrive so well playing these off the beaten path people. I think it was the movie Father Figures. You wasn't in the movie super duper long, but stole the whole damn movie just off of just, you know, the couple scenes that you were in. Are you, you know, is this by design? Do you like to play people who are kind of off the beaten path because, like, you know, you connect to the characters, or do you look at it as a stretch?
Well, thanks for asking that. I don't have the background of training that most of my peers have. So I wasn't doing drama or plays in high school. I didn't go to high school. I didn't have a college career. I didn't get any training. So each of these roles is me becoming a better actor. And the reason that they want so many men in a dress is not for homosexual reasons primarily. That's supposed to be the direct opposite of you. And that's supposed to be acting. And so I try to find characters that are the direct opposite of my actual personality so that I can bring something to the table. So in Father Figures, I'm just playing a hitchhiker. I'm too big for that role. But if I can make that role breathe, it will add something. I'm playing a choir director that's not gay. He's just eccentric. I'm missing out on the big joke to do him weird, but this is a vampire. This guy is so far away from the real Katt Williams. He doesn't believe anything I believe. He's not from where I'm from. He doesn't have the same sensibilities. I love God. He loves the devil. This is the complete direct opposite of me. And for me, you know, that's when I'm really on acting skills. Now, even better than that, for example, since you brought up Father Figures, that's an opportunity for me to work with Owen Wilson and Ed Helms and Meryl Streep and J.K. Rowling. And there's no such thing as not being an all-star when you're on an all-star team. Mm-hmm. But because I can do that movie, that also means that I have to do The House Next Door, Meet the Blacks 2, because that's Mike Epps and Michael Blackson and Gary Owen and Little Duval and Brisha Webb and Zulot. So again, a chance to be a high-level point guard for real shooters. And that's the position you want to put yourself in as many times as you can. Black production, a Black director, or a Black writer that is being done through Mike Epps Midwest Naptown Productions. That's how we help out. You know, most people are much too selfish and only worship the bag. But in real life, you either are helping your brother or you are tearing your brother down. And the help can happen quietly, and does.
Now, we recently just seen DC Young Fly. He was on stage and a person came up there and got a little out of hand. Now, we know you've had some incidents. Has there been anything, well, I know we've been in COVID, but has there been anything that stands out that maybe we have not heard about that might have happened while you were on stage performing?
I'm not sure what you mean, but I have 19 assault and batteries, and you've never seen me with a black eye. You have to be a child. Katt Williams loves to fight.
Do you feel like, but should there be a little bit more security for you guys on stage, because you are making fun of people? People do get in their feelings. There's drinks going, you know?
Here's what has been happening. The problem is how the media wants to present it. So they will say, yeah, so he fought his fan. His fan said F him, and then he hit him. How did you say that was a fan? Do you know what the word fan means? Nobody's fan has ever cussed them out or approached them or got on the stage. These are not one. These are a-holes, and a-holes exist everywhere. It's just that they don't understand that in our business, we're putting ourselves in harm's way. We're supposed to understand that if we do 3,000 shows, that means that mathematically there should be a problem at 30 of them.
Wow.
That's just mathematics.
Yeah.
10% of the time is going. So I've done 16 100 city tours. So I'm saying I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time. I always look like, look, the officer knows all the cars in this neighborhood. Whose $250,000 vehicle is this with smoke coming out of it? And why is it? And this is, so by the time they rough me up, that's when they find out who I am. So, you know, it's a whole different thing. As with boxing, you always have to keep your guard. And as comedians, we have to do that. They messed with the right one with DC, but these are things that happened, and it's not cute or sexy. It's not, he doesn't feel good because that happened, because, you know, you understand that these can take place at all times, and you're not in control of what people are on or the amount of security or none of that. At the end of the day, we're all dolo out here.
Right.
Bro, you were dolo on a specific night, and I'm gonna bring this up tonight, and this is something that I ain't talked about it nowhere else, but this is a funny memory. I'm literally with my ex-wife on Sunset Boulevard in LA, and you're coming down. It's about 2:30, right after Chocolate Sundays. You're coming down in your Phantom, and you stop on the brakes right by on the other side of the car. She getting in, and you say, "Hello, ma'am, I'm Katt Williams. Where are you going tonight?" And you had two women in the car. I said, I'm like, this is Katt Williams standing under the car. Like, but this is happening in real time. You say, well, ma'am, she's like, well, I'm about to leave and we about to get some. Well, if you see this car, there's always a seat in it for you. And this nigga blows off into the sunset with two women in the car. It's like, I got to get my money up. This nigga just rode past me in this car, and it was nothing I could do. We was in a Pontiac Sunfire, and I had probably $700 to my name, and it motivated.
Behind the car.
Yeah. She gave me that look like, if this nigga wasn't here right now, I would be definitely getting in this car. but bro, like, you were by yourself. You know, security, wasn't no fleet. It was just you. So it's like the daringness and the boldness about that was like, huh?
Yeah, because the whole thing is, we weren't out there trying to pick up your girl. We only care about where women are going and where women have decided. So all things good. If you want to know what's going on in the hood, ask somebody in a bonnet. If you want to know. And so we use that all across the country. Sorry that you fell into that crosshair.
It happens.
Hey man, hey, you helped Red Grant substantially, man, and along with Mark Curry, and that was the recent addition to the tour when I went and checked you guys out in New Orleans last. And I was just astonished at how you weren't holding the other comedians back. And as a guy, if I've taken out guys who are really funny in front of me, in your mindset, when you have a guy like Mark Curry, when you have a guy like a Red Grant that is opening for you, and there's no seeming of you trying to corral them to keep them in, what does that do for your psyche for when you are going out to do your time? Does that continuously feel like, does that really sharpen you more? Or are you at that point now where it doesn't matter what happens out there, your performance and presentation is going to be the same?
For 25 years, it was a norm in our business that the headlining comic must pick sucky comics to open up for him so that he looks like the big headliner. This is something that is a cancer to the business. You don't bring unfunny people to make you look funnier. That's bad for the fans. It's bad for you as an artist. It's bad for the business. It's just bad. And so I knew that as a hilarious comedian, most people wouldn't deal with me just because of that. And so I decided that I only want people around me that get standing ovations anyway. If I'm not the greatest of our time, then I won't be able to follow these people. Eventually, you'll understand that I'm really what I proclaim to be. And the way that you get bigger lifting weights is not by bringing the smallest weights and lifting them the least amount of times. The way that you get your weight up is by finding the biggest behemoths in comedy and really presenting it with not in front of an empty crowd, where they're dressed right, feel right. It's 10,000 people out there and they can really go be the best them. And regardless of how it has fared for me, it's been a great thing for business. And now everybody's had to jump on board. Now it's no big deal for five headliners to get together and have to, because we've been delivering that type of product to our fan base. They know I don't have an ego. I want the funniest comics for the best audience, and I have the best audience, so I bring the best comics, and together we present the best show. And everyone who didn't get aboard with that has suffered and lost, and that's why none of these big famous comedians can really show you who they put on, because who they put on would have been organically. But there's no there. So it was necessary for me to be opening, for me to have Melanie Camacho and Miss Pat and Leslie Jones and Linnell. And it was necessary for me to have Red Grant and Mark Curry and Zooman Miller. It was necessary for me to have the people that I've had opening, because that's what services my audience. My audience wants the best of the best, and that's what I am determined to bring them every tour.
Have a strong connection to music, right? So you have your relationship with Snoop. You also was a part of the Diplomats at one point in time with Cam. So one thing that we seen trending recently was Rap Caviar. They did their Mount Rushmore of the 4 greatest artists of the time. So if you was to say right now today who your Mount Rushmore would be, who would be your 4 comedians that you would put on that Mount Rushmore?
Well, you have to understand that the Mount Rushmore that Rap Caviar did was very specific. They, I believe they said from the 2000s to now.
Yeah, they was 2010. So I mean, like for today, who would you say today is?
But got it. No comment. No comment. Just because it's fair in rap and it makes sense, but in comedy, it's a little more nuanced than that. And I would feel badly if it wasn't 2 men and 2 women. That makes sense.
Right.
I understand.
I would need it to be that complete.
What about an all-time?
I was going to say that I would also need it to be white and black as well. I would also need it to be black and brown as well. So 4 is probably not enough slots. I say that to say we've had a lot of great comedy, and we've been blessed with a lot of greatness coming out of comedy. Not coming out of drama, not coming out of horror, not coming out of reality, coming out of comedy, our lane. And we've had so many people come out with this lane and take over the world and be the greatest. And yet it's still the bastardized side of Hollywood. We'll do any action movie, but comedy, not so much, when it's really the bread and butter of our whole entertainment existence, and has been since the invention of television. So I know 4 female comics that could go on that Mount Rushmore, and I wouldn't feel bad about their names being there. I could put Monique, Linnell. My point is, I could fill this up with every category of comedian, because we have that many great comedians out there still today. I'm saying I could have Patrice O'Neal, Dave Chappelle, Richard Jenny, and Lenny Bruce on there and still be as correct as I wanted to be. I could put so many names there and they would fit. But it's not fair because comedy's not fair just yet.
Before you roll, my brother, let's just say if somebody woke up out of a coma and you had to recommend 3 of your specials, which 3 would you recommend and what order?
Well, I would say, first of all, thank you for choosing me. And I will also say that you can close your eyes and pick any 3 of my 10 specials, because the truth of the matter is every single time I tried as hard as I could. I walked on the stage completely dry and well put together, and left a sweaty mess. And you know, they use me sweating on stage to talk crazy about me. But the truth is, I'm one of the few comedians that doesn't wear makeup on stage, thanks to my eczema. So sometimes it looks a little funny when it's so sweaty out there, but he's really just working for the ladies, and the ladies like the sweat, and so he does that. So you can watch any of Katt catching authentically 100% self from the rooter to the tutor, and I appreciate your fanship.
We are the Morning Hustle.